My name is Ellie and this is my 5th year as a primary school teacher this year. When I began my teaching career, I didn't think I would be up here speaking at a conference about how to best support children with Down syndrome, but I've been very grateful for the opportunities that I've had so far to work with so many incredible children, one of them most definitely being Aya. And I'm also really grateful to be here today to share with you our journey, because it's very much a journey of both of us. I'm also going to talk about some of the strategies that I believe have helped Aya have achieved success in her learning, and have also helped me grow as a teacher as well. So I did meet Aya in my final year of my teaching degree. I was a pre-service teacher and I was placed in her mainstream prep class. And to be honest, when I first met Aya, I was pretty nervous. I don't think I'd met someone with Down syndrome prior to meeting Aya, and let alone taught anyone with Down syndrome. And I had very little knowledge about what it all was about. I quickly came to learn that I didn't need to be an expert on Down syndrome in order to teach Aya successfully. I just needed to get to know her as a person. And when I did, I discovered that she was everything that every other child in that classroom was. She was a prep student just beginning to understand how school worked, and she was a learner, so she had a great desire to grow and to succeed, just like everybody else did. At the end of the year, I was employed at the school and I became Aya's teacher when she was in grade 1 and grade 2. And during this time, I undertook a lot of professional learning to better understand how I could support Aya, but also other students in our class and in our school with additional needs as well. And I found out that a lot of the strategies that I was learning were beneficial to a wide range of students and a wide range of settings as well. I worked closely with Down Syndrome Victoria during this time, and we were visited by Ian on a regular basis, who provided us with strategies and support that were targeted to Aya's particular academic, social and behavioural needs. I took part in a Down syndrome research project as well that was supported by the ACU and the Australian Council for Educational Research Foundation, which looked at how we can best support mathematics learning of students with Down syndrome in inclusive settings. And I also undertook an inclusive education online course. When Aya was in grade 3, we parted ways for a year while I taught another student at our school with Down syndrome. But then in grade 4, I was thrilled to become Aya's teacher again. Over the last 5 years, I've been privileged to watch Aya blossom into who she is today. She has achieved every goal that we have set for her and every goal that she has set for herself. She can, as you saw in the video, she can read, write, add, type, swipe, run, jump, climb, laugh, listen, walk, talk and play. She has been on camp, she's danced on stage at our concerts, she has represented our school at inter-school sports, so her list of achievements truly goes on. Aya has a fantastic sense of humour and she loves to make her teachers laugh, and she's developed a great attitude towards her learning and she works very, very hard to succeed. So I'd like to share with you now some strategies or some keys to success that I believe have contributed to Aya's fantastic growth. The first one would be inclusion. So I'm most definitely an advocate for inclusive education. All of our students are welcomed and valued members of our learning community, as we believe that each child brings something unique. Aya participates in everything else that her classroom does, that her classmates do, but it's at the level that best suits her. In this inclusive setting, she can observe the behaviour and the skills of her peers and she learns from them. The main thing that I took away from participating in the Down syndrome research project was the importance of providing these learners with as much educational opportunities as possible. So if a teacher restricts the concepts or the language or the strategies introduced, well, this immediately excludes that child and limits their opportunities. So, for example, if a child can't count past 10, that doesn't mean that they should be excluded from lessons about more difficult concepts such as fractions and decimals or multiplication and division. And a great example of this was Aya is working really hard on solving simple subtraction problems. As you saw in the video, addition she can do fantastically. Finding subtraction very, very difficult, and yet we included her on a lesson where she was rewriting tenths in the decimal form, and she was actually able to do this a lot more accurately than a lot of her peers were. So that was fantastic for her, whereas if we had excluded her from that lesson, that's something that she wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn and succeed in. The next key to success is that building a strong rapport with the students. So I know getting to know the learner seems sort of cliche, but it's important to develop a really good relationship with each of your students. And so when time gets tough, and they will, and that could be in regards to their learning or their behaviour, you really need that good relationship to fall back on. So Aya loves to walk with me on yard duty, and we talk about her family and her holidays a lot. She knows exactly what to do to make me laugh. I know her strengths and I know her weaknesses, her interests. I know the things that she hates. I know the people that she works well with, and I know the people that she also doesn't like very much. And so I can use this information to set her up for success. The next key to success would be professional learning and the willingness to trial different strategies. So I regard myself as a lifelong learner, and I'm always really excited to learn new information. And I've been very willing to trial different strategies to find the right things that will suit the learner. And so there has been a lot of failure on the way, trying to find the right strategies to fit the right child in the right situation. And then even once we have found a great strategy, then that might change and evolve as the child changes and the child evolves. So for example, to support Aya's behaviour, we have used visual cues on lanyards. We've had signs stuck around the classroom. We've had signs stuck on the floor. Visual cues stuck to the tables. We've written social stories. We've had raffle tickets, fake money, Spider-Man reward charts. The list goes on, but it's about trying these, experimenting with them, and achieving varying degrees of success. The next key to success, I would say, is personalised learning and support. So Aya is on an individual learning plan which sets targeted goals for her to work on. Her work does need to be adapted to suit her level of learning, but this can be as simple as we give her a different dice to use when we would like to change what numbers she's working on. She's supported by an aide on a regular basis, and if there's not an aide in the class, we often pair her up with someone that can support her or work in a small group as well. Concrete materials and visual resources are also really valuable tools. So we use number lines, counters and hundreds charts during numeracy lessons, or she uses a finger spacer to remind her to leave spaces between her words when writing. She didn't like using the finger spacer, but it helped her remember. The next key to success would be developing her independence as well. So we've always been really wary of making sure that Aya doesn't develop learned dependence. So that can often happen when too much support is given over time. We've been working on developing her independence over the years by setting her small achievable tasks and then for her to complete by herself. So what we do is we set the task and then we walk away, and when she's finished with that, she puts her hand up and we go over and we have a look at it and we praise and we reward her, and that's building that independence. Because it's really about finding that balance between giving her enough support so that she's learning to the best of her ability, but also not giving her too much support that she becomes dependent on someone there giving her lots of support. The next one would be positive behaviour support. I'm a big believer in positive behaviour support, which is a really positive and proactive way to manage behavioural issues. So rather than reacting to the negative behaviour, we try to set our students up for success by promoting and rewarding the positive behaviour and implementing strategies that reduce the negative behaviour from occurring. So a small example, what we used with Aya in the past was a rewards chart, which we began when she was going through a bit of a phase. It was getting towards the end of the year and her effort and enthusiasm towards her work was dropping a bit. So we set up a Spider-Man rewards chart. So every time that she tried really hard in every session, by the end of that session, if she'd completed her work to the best of her ability, we gave her a Spider-Man sticker. And then at the end of each session, if she tried hard for a certain amount, then she got the reward. And she was able to pick which reward that she would like. So she loves erasers, so she might get an eraser from the box or time on the iPad. The last key for success for me is the importance of working as a team, so having a really collaborative approach. While it is me standing here today, I am only one part of Aya's team. It's important that a positive relationship exists between teachers and the education support staff at school, because our ES staff have played such a huge role in Aya's academic, social, emotional and behavioural growth. It's also important that a close relationship exists between the parents and the school as well, and Aya's very fortunate to have such a loving family that's dedicated to her success. There's regular communication between the school and the home, and that's in formal settings such as SSG meetings and individual learning plan meetings, but also informally as well. It's also important that other agencies are engaged where relevant. So Down Syndrome Victoria have been fantastic, but also speech pathologists, occupational therapists. If we're all on the same page, if we're all working together, then we can play a really good role in shaping the child's future. So in summary, for me, teaching Aya has absolutely enriched my teaching degree, my experience. Sorry. I have loved watching her grow, and I've loved celebrating her successes with her. She's a valuable member of our school community, and she's enabled the students at our school to learn about diversity and perseverance and acceptance and inclusion. So if you only take one thing away from today, I hope that it's first and foremost, a child with Down syndrome is just a child who wants to learn and be valued and to be treated equally. So thank you.